Hello everyone, welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And some pretty interesting news, as it is rumored that Trevor Nyakane has officially left the Bulls and will join up with Racing Metro over in the top 14 in France, in what is being billed as the biggest transfer in South African rugby history. And I think it's quite a landmark occasion and quite an important sign, which is the reason we're doing an entire video on it, because usually I don't do videos on signs like this unless it's something really major. But I think it's a very interesting signing for a number of reasons, and especially on the back of an article over the weekend about talking about South Africa, where South Africa would be without their overseas-based players, and a lot of issues about the South African brain drain, if you will, of South African rugby talent. But I think there's a difference between certain players that go overseas and others, and I think we're going to discuss that a little bit. But before you do check out all the details and stuff like that, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. So at the moment, there's been no official announcement, but an article surfaced last night on Supersport, which said that French club Racing Metro have apparently signed Springbok prop Trevor Nyakane until after the World Cup in 2023. Currently, Trevor is contracted to the Bulls until 2023, but apparently the Bulls were then approached by the French club and asked to try and work out a transfer deal. Now, it doesn't look like the official number will be given, but according to Supersport, the amount that Racing are apparently going to pay the Bulls is in the region of 5 million rand, which is good to see. I mean, it's still peanuts compared to what we see, in football transfers. But what we've been saying for quite a lot this year is, if these clubs are going to come to these teams in South Africa and take players, especially players who are Springbok quality or are going to be Springbok quality and stuff like that, we need to see the financial reward of it. We can't let teams come and ransack our clubs without any sort of benefit at all. Because at the moment, you think of last year when all these players were just allowed to basically cancel their contracts and go overseas, and all these teams lost some of their best talents for nothing, absolutely nothing. They couldn't replace them with any money or something like that. They couldn't get anything for them. There was pretty much no value whatsoever in the fact that they brought these players in, that they nurtured them, that they created the player that suddenly is being signed to some of the best clubs in the world overseas, in the UK, mainly top 14. And then what I'm saying is that if it's going to happen, because it will happen, you can argue, look at the rand and the strength of the rand and the issue in South Africa, and in terms of the way the global game is moving, players do want to go play overseas. It's not just a South African thing. A lot of New Zealand players are playing overseas. A lot of Australian players are playing overseas now. You've got Scottish players playing in the English Premiership and the top 14 and stuff like that. So it's not a uniquely South African problem. We just produce so many rugby players. But we need to see more transfers like this, where when this actually has happened, the union is at least getting the money for it. I mean, if you were to extend the salary cap, for example, in South Africa, which I think they will have to try and adjust to try and at least make it competitive with your Irish clubs, so that no player is moving to another side in the URC, and that if they are looking for a bigger paycheck, they're going top 14 English Premiership, and hopefully eventually, when South African rugby can really sort of start generating revenue, we can start to match contracts from overseas clubs and try and keep our players here as much as we can. But 5 million rand can suddenly be reinvested into the Bulls. It's a decent amount of money, and this is what we need to see more of. We can't just let all these players move for free all the time and we don't get to benefit. We just sort of this factory that gets exploited for talent. And in terms of the type of players that move, I think it's the perfect move for Trevor Nyakane. He has been in South Africa for years and years and years. He's 32 years old, and he's never played outside South Africa. He came through and played a lot of games for the Cheetahs. He's been at the Bulls for about, I think, 5 or 6 years. I think it would have been 8 years by the time he would have seen out the rest of his contract. So I think the time is right. He's coming to the twilight of his career. He's playing some really good rugby at the moment. Go overseas and get a paycheck. Go and sort yourself out for your future. It's the perfect sort of type of contract, I think. It's a 2-year deal overseas, playing in France where the World Cup will be. So it's nice preparation from a Springbok point of view. You know what he is. You know the talent he has. He's still going to be part of the Springbok squad. There's absolutely no issue with the signing whatsoever. I think it's a very different scenario to losing maybe like a Tyrone Green, who is young and up and coming. If Evan Lewis were to leave, these young and up and coming players who you want to stay in South Africa, you want to see them all the time. Them going overseas compared to Trevor Nyakane, who's spent over a decade in South Africa playing his rugby in South Africa and is now taking the next step. I think it's good on him. I think there's no issue there. I don't think anybody will have any issue with him going overseas, because he's done his time here and now he gets to go and pick up a paycheck, still be part of the Springboks, and everyone's happy, really, apart from the Bulls, who lose a quality player. But I just hope that this sort of signing is a bit of a landmark occasion, and this becomes a bit of a trend that we need to start signing our players for longer contracts. You know, like Lions used to sort of announce yearly contracts, and this player is signed for another year, and it's bullshit. We've got to sign players who are good enough down to longer contracts. We've got to try and keep these players in the country, or else at least have contracts which need to be bought out, so that these other sides can come in and they can have these players if they really want, but you've got to pay. We've got to see the money. We can't just become this country who've got the best team in the world, both in the 7th and the 15th circuit, and yet other sides can just walk in and just handpick players, not pay a cent, and just take our best talent out of it, and we continue to see this brain drain. If players are going to go overseas, we want to see contracts being bought out, we want to see money landing in the hands of the union so they can reinvest it, they can replace these players, they can bring other players in, they can continuously strengthen themselves to try and reduce the damage caused by losing a player of Trevor Nyakane's standard. But yeah, let me know what you think of the transfer down in the comments below. Smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you very, very soon.